How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Hey, it's Tom here. I just want to give you a little heads up that Kevin's audio recording was a little skippy, kind of like an old school Discman back in the day, if you remember that. So we apologize, but I don't think it's going to hurt the overall interview with Buddha because nothing can. He's awesome. And I hope you enjoy.
This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, let the listeners know what we have in store today. This is really cool.
We got the Top Chef 19 Houston winner, Buddha Lowe, on the show. Buddha, welcome.
It's so good to be here. Finally, I listen to you guys like every week, one of my highlights, so it feels nice to be on the show.
We heard that from Sarah last week. We were like, no way, Buddha, because you're a celebrity to us. And the fact that you listen to us every week, it feels like that's very beneath you to listen to this show.
I think what everyone's gotten by now is that I'm very into anything that I can get my information or study up on, I'm on it. So this is definitely something that's very interesting, and it definitely made my season 19 is just listening to podcasts and finding out what people think about the competition.
I think this is disinformation. I hope you gleaned very little from this particular. I mean, I guess Tom's game theory is pretty useful. As a statistical analyst, Tom has some good stuff.
Definitely. Every week, and because you already know the outcome, it's just very interesting to listen from the draft to all the way to the end, and who do you think the front runner is and what's going on. So it's very, very cool to listen to every week.
Yeah, Kevin, I re-listened to the draft a little bit just to refresh my memory on this. So I'm curious, Buddha, do you think we should go alternating picks with the draft for Top Chef? Because Kevin won last year, which meant he gets the number 1 pick. And then we do a snake, which means I get the 2 and the 3. Then it goes back to Kevin for 4 or 5. So Kevin goes with Robert because Robert wins the first episode or the first challenge. Then I go Ashley, and then I chose you with the number 3 pick.
Yeah.
I called you a prodigy and thought you're a great character on the show, and said your spotted dick dessert was amazing. Didn't know what that was until you made it for the show. And now I'm thinking, Kevin, we might have to, you were audibly upset when I picked Buddha because I think you wanted to take him at number 3.
Yeah, fully knowing that I probably wasn't going to get it. Buddha, how has your life changed since the world? Because there's 2 stages, right? There's the moment at which you know you have won Top Chef, and about 45 human beings know that you've won Top Chef. And then there's the secondary, in terms of popular imagination, much more prominent, right? Like the world knows you won Top Chef. How does your life change? I mean, do you become a guy in the incoming call business? Do like investor, like this is something I've always been curious about, is just palpably and tangibly what happens to you as a chef when you win and the world learns of that.
So yeah, that day that we actually filmed was probably 200 days after it actually aired. So that's when the finale was actually shot. And it's such a weird feeling because, you know, when you win something that big, you're usually surrounded by loved ones and people that your friends and family and like, not to put it down or anything, but it's like I was standing next to Sarah and Evelyn, but like, you know, they fought very hard to get to the end, and like they're not really going to be the most energetic and happy for you because they just, you know, made it so far to, you know, just miss it by a little bit. So, you know, that was a weird feeling. And then you had the second part where you do win, and that is very interesting. The moment that it's clicked on, life really changed. Like, for example, I just came back from LA this morning. I got followed by TMZ.
No!
Yeah, I didn't think that would happen in my career. Like, did I all of a sudden just become a Kardashian? Or like, what happened?
This is actually really interesting, and I hope you don't take this as an insult. But like, I'm trying to like think about being the assignment desk of TMZ. And I mean, I guess they get wind that were you out here for a Top Chef event?
Top Chef organized it, but I had to do a cooking segment on Daily Pop.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's how it happened.
Yes.
They get wind of this, and their first thought, someone at the TMZ assignment desk, is, you got to get a body on that guy.
Yeah.
He might whip out an everyone bagel dish on the street in front of Ketch in West Hollywood.
Yeah, right in LAX, you know, just, but it was very interesting. I wish I got a selfie of it. I don't think that would ever happen again in my life. So we'll see what happens.
Was the paparazzi cordial? Like, was that interaction cordial, or were they kind of aggressive?
Oh no, it was actually really funny. It was actually from Melbourne, so I was asking him a lot of things about Australia, but he was trying to get all of his questions in as much as he can. Look, the flight was late, so you know, he followed me all the way into the car. He's like, "Do you mind if I interview?" It's like, no problem. It's like we're walking and talking, and he all the way until I shut the door, he's like still filming and interviewing me. So it was funny. It was definitely something that I laughed at.
Congratulations on that. That's fun.
Thank you. I feel like it's a little bit of accomplishment, I guess.
So you're a Top Chef nerd, and we're Top Chef nerds. We've watched it from the very beginning. We studied it. I've done the analytics on it. You've done your homework on Top Chef. I'm curious, what does getting a master's in Top Chef look like for Budalo?
Well, I'm very honored that I got my master's, but I feel like a lot of people who watch the show have their own masters in it as well. You know, there's so many people that watch it and they go, why are you doing that? Why are you not explaining the dish? Why are you serving risotto? Like, why are you serving tom okra? Like, all this sort of stuff that everyone already knows. Because, you get these people that watch season 1, like, you know, to 19 over and over and over again. And you start to get this like indented memory of like what worked and what didn't work. And it's just like I've been called out to be this sort of like person that studied. But then again, I love the show just like you guys. And so watching it is just like my pastime as well. And so, and if you haven't watched the show and you're in the competition, well, that's going to suck for you because like, that's not going to be an advantage. You know, I treated the competition just like sport. If you know, no one in sport or any competition is just going to rock up and not study. Like you have 19 seasons right in front of you that you can watch back to back and write down notes and the smallest things that you see, like, oh well, that's the third time someone got eliminated by risotto. It's like, well, maybe I'm not going to do that while I'm on the show because it doesn't make sense, you know. So, you know, none of the greats make it to the top without doing some sort of training. They go in there and they train every day and they grind and I'm happy that that's the result that happened throughout my study.
So wait, how old are you, first of all?
I'm 30.
So you essentially started watching the show as a teenager.
Yes, when I was in high school.
Tom, this is interesting. There's now a generation of Top Chef testants who literally grew up with the show as children. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. And then, Tom and Gail and Adna, they all go like, oh, we're feeling a little bit old now that that's happening. But I think with this new generation of people who grew up with it, I think it's going to make the Top Chef very interesting in the future. It's going to be high knowledge, and I hope that a lot of people take what I said on board and like you study up. Like that's a huge thing that you have to do. It's $250,000 in the line, but regardless of the money, it's your reputation that's more expensive. You know, some people go, oh well, I make it onto the show, and that's all good. But like if you don't show up, people ain't going to come to your restaurant. And at the end of the day, we need the people at the restaurants. That's how we make a living. So you have to make sure that you show up every day.
So do you have a favorite Top Chef contestant of years past?
Oh, yeah. I think everyone's favorite is Melissa King. That's my favorite. I think she's just so well composed, sort of foods that I love to eat. And that she just kept her ground the whole time. Just such a lovable personality. That's kind of like a no-brainer. I did love the Voltaggios back then, but like Melissa took over. But the Voltaggio brothers, when I watched it when I was young, me and my brother were both, at that teenager phase where we're always trying to compete against each other. So it was always like cool to like watch them go at it. That was really fun.
So Kevin, I actually did some analytics here. I didn't quite do everything on our point system, Kevin, but I looked at each season of Top Chef, Buddha, how many wins you had in the season, how many top 3 finishes you had in the season, how many quick fires you won, and then how many times you finished in the bottom 3. Okay. And I gave a point value to each. So I gave 10 points for the elimination challenge if you won that, 5 points for if you finished in the top 3. I gave you 3 points for winning the quick fire, and then I debited 2 points. I knocked you down 2 points if you're in the bottom 3. It's not perfect, but it gave me a point total for every contestant that has won Top Chef. And Melissa King comes out in second in points per episode. I did points per episode, Kevin, because some seasons has 17 and some has 14.
Right.
Number 1 all time in points per episode. Do you want to wager a guess here on Top Chef, Buddha?
Well, I'm guessing that, you're bringing this up because it's quite important, and I'm actually intrigued by this. But
okay.
I don't want to puff my chest or anything. But yes, please go on.
No, it's not you, Buddha. It's not you. Not quite.
Okay,
it's got to be Paul, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Paul. Yeah.
Paul is at number 3, actually, because...
Really? Points per episode?
Yeah, points per episode. He had 3. He was finished in 3. Melissa King in an all-star season is at number 2. And Stephanie Izard is number 1 with a 6.1. She had a home court advantage. She was doing it in Chicago. Mm-hmm. But she had 11 episodes out of 14. She was in the top 3.
Wow.
11 out of 14. She was in the top 3. She won 6, top 3 and 5 others. And she just was incredible that season. But Paul had the most wins, 9 wins in his season. You finished 6th in the point system that I just created.
I'll take that.
That is incredible. I think about all the great Top Chefs in the history of this show. It goes Stephanie, Melissa number 2. I actually probably put Melissa just all-time greats number 1 because she did that in an all-star season 17. She got that well. Paul is at number 3. Michael Voltaggio, Las Vegas, number 6, season 6. He was finishing 4th here. Richard Blaze at number 5, and then Buddha Lowe right there at number 6. So congratulations, you were top 10 Top Chef competitor.
Wow, I'm in some good company right there.
You get your took retired if you're in the top 6, right? In addition to that, you're now a target of paparazzi. You're still at Huso, right? When you go to work, that will be where you go?
Exactly. Yeah, Huso's a very small, interesting concept. I'm not an American citizen, so finding a place to like do my own food and get a visa was very hard for me. So I have managed to find a small dining room that was like willing to do whatever I wanted to do. And so I was like, this is my foot into New York. So I was like, okay, I've got to do it. I've got to try it out. I've only got a small amount of time. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to Australia.
And working. I imagine it's working better than ever.
Yeah, it's working. It's a bit overwhelming. Once we won, there's no seats that we have available until September. And that's where we closed out the booking. So It's pretty amazing.
I'm actually, you do sting at night, but also is it Marky does art during the day, correct?
Exactly. So we do like a more simplified a la carte during the day, and then that's 7 days a week. And then the tasting menu is only 4 nights a week.
What's the relationship between the two restaurants? Are you strictly Huso, or is it all kind of just one up?
Marky's is like the retail. Marky's is a company that I'm employed by, and I did Huso just because we needed something to separate the retail from the dining experience, because Marky's has a couple other different store locations. So if they were to say, hey, I came here for the tasting menu, and it's like, we don't do that. We just sell caviar. It's like, so we had to have something separate. But Huso is a very interesting name. It's actually the scientific name for beluga sturgeon, which is something that we take a lot of pride in because we're the only people that sell beluga in the whole United States, legal. We actually grow it.
How is the war in beluga business in Russia and Ukraine?
So that doesn't change anything. Most of the caviar is actually not from that area. It's actually farmed nowadays because the Caspian Sea is actually very restricted in how you can fish, because everyone seems to be overfishing it. But our beluga comes from a Florida-based company. They've got a huge farm out in Bascom. They breed beluga sturgeon.
So this year in Top Chef, we didn't get too much of the living quarters or any back at the house and hanging out. Also, you didn't get to go on a huge trip out, international trip overseas or anything. You went to Tucson. Some different things with this season of Top Chef. What was the biggest difference between watching Top Chef on TV and the reality of Top Chef, and any sort of different things the different curveballs this season that, as a student of Top Chef like yourself, a scholar of Top Chef, you were not prepared for?
First of all, when they said Tucson, I thought it was like a weird way that you guys would, Americans would say Tuscany. Believe it or not, I thought, oh, okay, great, we're going to Italy again. I didn't know what Tucson was, unfortunately. And I think Damar even thought it was in Oklahoma. So I didn't feel too bad after that. From the reality, from the competition, it's a world of difference. What we see is 42 minutes of an episode. In reality, that whole episode took 3 days to make. And so what you're seeing is like a very condensed down part of it. I think that the show could even go for 2 hours. Like, there's so much content that you miss out on. Like, for example, when I did the alligator, there was like maybe 10 seconds of me breaking it down. It didn't really actually show the cooking process, which I think a lot of people would be very interested in, because not everyone cooks with alligator.
Tell us about it. Now that you have the opportunity, like, we cleared the lane and now you can drive to the hoop. Go ahead.
My breakdown was very thorough in my head. If you get in my head, it's a very busy place. The Mosasaurus is a dinosaur that ate reptiles. And if it ate reptiles, if we go back thousands of years, the only reptile that would be swimming in the waters with the Mosasaurus would be an alligator. So I was like, okay, that's a no-brainer. We need to get an alligator. And everyone's asking me, where did I get an alligator from? It's not from Whole Foods. We actually had a list that we were allowed to use, just because Whole Foods has some stock standard stuff. Obviously, we need to make it more interesting. And if you decide to grab it, it didn't affect your budget, which is great. So I thought I would take that to help Joel and Jay be able to buy more stuff for themselves in Whole Foods. But the alligator process is that I didn't really get to break down where the ribs were, which I just took the tail, which is like kind of like a fish anyway. And then I poached it in milk. Milk actually has the lactic acid that will break it down and make it a little bit more tender if you poach something in milk. So I poached it in milk with a lot of aromats, but then I smoked it. And the whole idea behind smoking it was, well, sturgeon and alligator both lived side by side together in the prehistoric times. And they both have this meaty, tough, fishy texture that I thought, well, why don't I just treat it like a sturgeon? Everyone has smoked sturgeon and bagels, and so I just started going off the smoked fish idea. So I made like a smoked alligator salad inside these dumplings, which was technically a take on smoked whitefish salad. And then I made a smoked alligator soup.
Bless your heart. Nothing better than whitefish salad.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's delicious about it.
Ashkenazi Jews have given very little to the culinary universe, but we have given fish salad, and for that, we deserve praise.
Yeah, exactly. So the smoked whitefish salad was my idea, and then I decided to make a soup, which is a Scottish soup called Cullen skink, which they use smoked haddock with potato and leek. So yeah, it sounded weird. Alligator soup with smoked alligator dumplings, and it's like, but in my head, it made a lot of sense.
We always joke about the show about how they bring in a sponsor like Jurassic Park and it doesn't actually fit the show, or it's a little contrived and a bit of a reach. But what you just described was like a masterclass in using the prompt that this dinosaur ate alligators. And so you're going to cook an alligator and then smoke it. And the way you think through these dishes is very impressive, Buddha.
Going into the challenges, that was like my number one thing. I did write a book. Well, not write a book. I wrote on the front of our book. So everything gets taken away from you when you actually enter the competition. Your phone, your laptop, everything, even your cookbooks. So you don't get anything, but you do get this black book that you're allowed to have. I did a lot of scribbling in there for sure. I should have written like a little diary about how my day went, but sometimes you don't want to relive it. But the first thing that's on my book is 4 rules. Number 1's a challenge. We get to cook every day, and we always cook great food. Like, that's why we're on Top Chef. That's why everyone's on Top Chef, because you can cook really good. But no one gives you these like very obscure, unique challenges. So that's why I always took that as my first priority to make sure that, why are you putting that on a plate? Because if it doesn't sink to the challenge, then there's no point in you doing that. And so I always made that a priority first. And a lot of people would say, oh, but you have to make taste first. But anyone can make something taste good. But how can you make it, a story of Bessie Coleman or, dinosaur challenge or something like that. And then the third is presentation. A lot of you guys can't eat while we're cooking. And as a chef, especially a top chef, you want to be able to use our presentation as your way to being able to make people salivate through the television. And so you should, at this level, presentation's a very good thing. And then if I learned anything from last season, you have to complete the dish. There's no point in saying, I'm going to put all these components and you don't finish the dish. And that's what's going to send you home or make you not win a challenge or make you not do very well. So those are my 4 things. And actually, I wanted to add another 5th thing after I've actually watched the whole thing which I did, was have fun. The more stressed that you are during the cook, the worse you're going to cook. Just have fun with it. You're never going to be on that show again, maybe twice if you're on All Stars, but just have fun with it.
So this is interesting. Questions I had for you is if you coach for Top Chef 21 contestant in a couple of years, those are great rules, general. Are there hacks? What would you tell at 5 minutes with someone who said, hey, I'm about to go on the show. What do I need to know? Aside from just, again, these are wonderful generalities, but I'm wondering if there are specific hacks beyond just the risotto. Don't do anything 2 ways in that sort. You have other axioms that you think are essential.
Well, in 5 minutes is going to be very hard, but yeah, I can definitely give a one-on-one. But if they've got more time, they definitely have to watch the show. The show is going to be it's crucial. Why would you go on a show without watching it? And I think Jackson had a little bit of a problem when he did front of house, is that the only restaurant wars that he watched was Portland, and Portland is not the prime example of restaurant wars, especially front of house. So you're doing a chef's table, that's literally cooking for a dinner party at home. So it's when you're doing a full restaurant and you have servers that that aren't the best experienced and stuff like that. So you have to study. Studying is crucial. All the cliches that we say, don't do this, don't do that, for sure. Make sure that you know pastry. I think I'm finding it very confusing now that, in this day and age, that chefs still avoid doing pastry. I think that a lot of those skills actually represent in what savory would do anyway. If you make a custard, you can also make a savory custard nowadays. If you make a tart shell, you can make a savory tart shell. So there's a lot of things that go back and forth from savory and pastry, and you should actually have that skill with you all the time. And that's something that I showed through the competition. And I think that most of the competitors, I didn't think many of them said, apart from Jay, oh, I don't do pastry or I don't bake. A lot of them just, the baker one with the cake and the pork rind. So yeah, there's so many things that it can go on for in 15 minutes. It's a very small window. But if anyone wants to hit up a coach, I could give a one-on-one, that's for sure. There's a lot of things that I did to prepare for the show. Like I said, I studied the thing. I had a notepad and pen, and I wrote down why they got eliminated and why they won.
Wow.
And what the challenges were.
So Shota last year, you have a little note about Shota last year?
Oh yeah, 100%. Don't do that. Tongue curry was his enemy right there. That did not do anything good for him. I think that he would have cleaned it if he didn't have did that tongue curry. For me, I thought it was very confusing that he did that. Everything that he did was very refined, and it just did not go well. Like, if fair enough, if the whole menu was, in that rustic sort of Japanese style, but it wasn't.
Kevin's so excited right now.
But I have been on this for like a year.
Yeah, it's like if I was given the ingredients that he was done, like I'm pretty sure we can do something that's a little bit more refined, and that would have got him over the line for sure. So those are the sort of things that, and that's the thing there. You say it's studying, but like I watch Portland just because I enjoy watching Top Chef. Then like I picked up all this stuff just by watching the show. It's like, well, one's not completing anything. Like, you got to make sure you complete it. Maybe, hey, Gabe's making his 16th mole for the season. Like, maybe it's okay to repeat things. It's just those sort of things as well. Some cliches kind of like get on my nerves a little bit. For example, maybe like fresh pasta. Not everything needs fresh pasta. Like my Marry Me pasta, I really do not like pasta matriciana with fresh pasta. I think the drier style is the best way to have it. But then again, like, no one questioned whether Nick made macaroni. Like, no one questions like when you make rice noodles for a stir fry dish, did you make the rice noodles? Because you can make rice noodles, you can make soba, so it's like, if you're going to make these rules out for like just pasta, you got to make the rules out for everything else. But it feels like, it's like, oh, you got to make pasta. Like, well, you can make rice noodles. You can make your own dumpling skin. You can make, so you got to ask those questions as well with those cliches.
I'm curious because you had such a dominant season. I think like 5 episodes in or somewhere around there, I told Kevin that I would take you over the field because I just think you had mastered the Top Chef rubric. And I was wondering, what was something in this season that you wish you had done over again? Like it wasn't flawless, and no one can have a flawless season of Top Chef. So what was the moment where you're like, should have done better on that? I knew I screwed that up.
I don't know. It sounds petty, but the biscuit challenge, I was not prepared for that. In saying that I studied everything, maybe I studied a little too hard on that because I realized that around in Houston, barbecues usually serve with Texas toast. It's not served with biscuits. So I was like, all right, we're not going to do a biscuit challenge. There's been biscuit challenges done before, so we're definitely going to do something that's not going to do with a biscuit. And then when it came to the challenge, making a biscuit without a recipe and never making it before, and then you've got 45 minutes. It's so specific. If someone said make a dumpling, an Italian person can make like a tortellini and call it a dumpling, right? Or like a Russian person can make it a pilmeni, which is, a Russian style dumpling. But with a biscuit, it's so specific. So that was definitely a hard one. And I'd like to give that one another crack. I've had a couple goes at biscuits when I've walked into the show. So I'd like to see how I go with that.
Come to Charlotte and I'll get you some Bojangles. You'll get some good biscuits from there.
Listener, listen up. This is important. Okay, I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS. Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Yeah, so good to be on the show. Really love it. Really look forward to every week, you know? I think like out of all the podcasts, it's just like, this is my favorite one, just because I feel like you guys get a lot of detail and like on everything. My only feedback on that would be like, I felt like for the 2 most important episodes, there was a guest. I really would love to hear your breakdown on Restaurant Wars a little bit more, your take on it, and the finale, because I love your breakdowns.
Oh, yeah.
You guys get really detailed, you know? that's my only thing. But like, you know, it's like, oh damn, I think I missed out like a little bit more on, you know, what the judges were on like the finale or restaurant was. But everything else I love. You know, I love like what, you know, when it's not so much of a serious challenge. When Joe Flem was in it, that was so much fun.
Yeah,
he really gave a 101. It was really cool. Really enjoyed it.
We've had Hershey on in the past, and we always, with a guest with Joe Flam, we want to break up our season a little bit, have some guests in there. But I hear you. We always have that kind of in my head, trying to figure out if we should do like the full breakdown and then do an additional episode with a guest.
Absolutely.
So we're always trying to workshop that. So I appreciate that feedback, Buddha.
Yeah, I love your feedbacks because like it's not coming from like a hospitality or someone in there. It's just like great to see what a viewer is watching it and how you perceive those two specific challenges.
See, I would imagine you wouldn't care what we would think.
Oh, I love it.
We're just a bunch of yahoos.
I know what chefs think. I know what Sarah thinks. I know what she thinks. Yeah, I love your breakdown, sir. Yeah.
But I always take advantage of our conversations with the chef to get cooking advice. I'm sort of an intermediate home cook. I had access to some halibut fillets. A friend of mine runs sort of a farm tape. She procures great stuff like produce, fish, and I cannot make halibut interesting. It is a sad, fat-free fish that continually I have a steam oven. I made sort of the traditional Chinese sauce with scallions and ginger and sweet soy sauce and a bunch of vegetable oil. I cannot make it interesting. Can we just all talk about the fact that bullshit fish? And it's expensive.
Yeah, I know. I actually don't cook with it very often, but if there's any tip that I would give with a halibut is brining it.
Okay.
You have to brine it. If I brine the fish and I did 2 of those Cantonese style fish, you will see a significant amount of difference. One's going to be like white and like dry.
And that was mine last night.
Yeah, exactly. It gets like really pale white, but like if you do a brine on it, it gets almost, I used to do the fish roast over at Love Madsen Park. And I would notice that how much the brine actually makes halibut a lot more palatable and nicer and juicy.
All right, so what is my brine and for how long?
So you're going to be doing a 10% brine and you're going to go do maybe about 25 to 30 minutes. 10% meaning, 100 grams to 1 liter of water, 1,000 milliliters of water. And then you will just mix that up and then you would put the fish in there and it would just like sit there for 25 minutes, pull it out, and then you can pat it dry if you want to pan fry it, or you can steam it.
Oh, this is a game changer. And you described just the absolute misery that was eating that halibut.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, like, do I butter poach it? Like, can you make this fat? I like fatty fish. And when I cook with fatty fish, it's always a challenge.
Fatty fish is always the way.
Hey, Buddha, I want to give a shout out to Bill Batterman on Twitter. He mentioned us in this little thread, and I wanted to read it to you because I found it fascinating. He said, "Don't read if you haven't watched the finale yet, but Buddha Low reminds me of the new generation of pitchers that grew up with tech-aided pitch design, driveline, velocity training, and pitching ninja. He executes at a level that was previously impossible. His final meal was the culinary equivalent of a pitching ninja daily highlights video. He clearly studied Blaze and the Voltaggios and Brooke Williamson and Kristen and Melissa and the other great top chefs, and he figured out how to replicate their, quote, pitch designs. The result was, in my opinion, the greatest performance in Top Chef history. He beat the game. Other chefs have probably been better, but no one has ever played Top Chef this well. It's going to be awesome if future seasons feature several Buddha-level students of the game competing against each other. This wasn't a great season, but I think it bodes well for the future of the show." So thank you, Bill Batterman.
Wow, what a compliment.
Do you feel like you figured out Top Chef?
I feel like if I did it again, I feel like I've figured out a bit of it. The thing is, right, you can figure out most part of it, right? You don't know what the challenge is always going to be at the end of the day. You don't know who the judge is or who's going to be on your team. Like Restaurant Wars, that challenge could have been a lot different by one person not being on that team. And I always think back to like, if Leah actually put salt in a basket, maybe Ashley would have not made it through, and Leah or Sarah would have came through, and maybe matriarch wouldn't have happened because, if we had 2 Southern cooks and 2 whatever different cooks, maybe we would have went a different path. So there's a lot of things that would have changed. But back to the to that hybrid of like the new wave of chef. I really hope that it does go through with the competition. I think that it will make it super exciting. I watch a lot of different cooking competitions as well. You know, one of them's, you know, one of my cooks was on Top Chef France this year, so I watched a little bit of that. That was very exciting.
Oh, cool!
And literally every single person that's on the show is a Michelin star chef. But you know, I don't personally like that formula. I actually like the formula that we're going in. Everyone in the same level, bringing in different a different style into it, whether it be comfort, you know, Southern Asian, which is really good. And not everyone's in a fine dining background, but I think that it will be super interesting if we did get that sort of level of knowledge and prepared cooks that go into the show. I think that would be super exciting to watch. And I think like even like Stephanie, like being so early on it and just seeing like how far it's progressed. It didn't air, but like she told Padman, "Is like, is this the level that we're at right now? Like, this is crazy." Like, so yeah, hopefully that's what it is for the future. And yeah, to do with the finale meal, that was it also becomes strategy. Like if you think about Damar and he said, "Oh, I'm going to hold back a couple of things for the finale meal." Yeah, you actually have to. You need to make sure that you do kind of play the game a little bit and realize that, you know, if you've done 3 gumbos personally yourself, like can you make another final one that's going to be better than the last one that you did? Because that's what they're going to judge it towards. Even though it's all not accumulative, they're still going to think that. They're going to go, well, I like the other gumbo better, you know. So you have to have an arsenal at the very end. Otherwise, you're going to burn out a lot of steam and it's not going to be as exciting.
If you were Top Chef and next season you could revise current rule or conventions, introduce, what would you do?
Ooh, to be honest, I couldn't really think of anything right now because I thought when I went on to the competition, it was such a well-oiled machine. It literally gave you all the tools and all the things that you need to make sure that you're successful. The time clock starts, you know, just as fast as you think it does. You really don't have a lot of time to think. Once you go to Whole Foods and you buy your ingredients, you can't change your dish overnight. So I think the cat what they've got right now is very interesting. I even though I've watched it so many times, they've performed it so well over the last 19 seasons that they've really thought of every single corner. Like, you see that I serve first all the time, but like that was only because my name gets pulled out of a bag and he goes, okay, you have to serve first. It's like, okay. So it gets to that fairness where like every, things that didn't seem fair, well, we pulled it out of a bag and it's like a coin toss, at the start of the game. It's like, that's like what is like with Restaurant Wars. We served first, like a coin toss. And then I do hear a little bit of that theory of like, oh, if you serve first, it's better. Like, yes and no. Like, there's a very hard thing because like when we served on Restaurant Wars, we were a little bit behind because we couldn't find our group, and that's why they're like, oh, the food's coming out quite late. But like by the time you get to the judges, if you do the second wave, you should be a little bit more well rehearsed by the time the judges get there.
So with Matriarch, it was you, Ashley, and Damar and Nick.
Yeah, that was a great team. It was so much fun. That was probably my favorite episode to do.
Why was it? I mean, you probably had high expectations for Restaurant Wars. Well,
that's the thing. Yes, you can study on Restaurant Wars, but you can never study who's going to be on your team. So it becomes the ultimate game of social interaction, teamwork, and utilizing every single skill that you've ever done in your whole career. And there's a lot of things that I love and enjoy doing, and front of house is one of them. And I love, that style of service. I study it. Like when I go to like dining experiences, I'm sitting down and I'm looking at the servers and I'm seeing how they approach tables and stuff like that. And that's how I was able to do my service in Restaurant Wars, because I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm going to approach them that way. I'm going to pull out the steam. I'm going to welcome them. I'm going to, throw out a little joke, break the ice a little bit. I enjoy that sort of experience. So like, how am I going to be able to do it for the judges? And not only the judges, that was for every table as well. I made sure, but at the end of the day, you do need to treat them better because they are ultimately going to be deciding whether or not you're going to progress for $250,000 in the title of Top Chef. So that's not every customer that you get in your dining room, in your restaurant, is going to be having that sort of power.
Okay, what is your favorite crappiest food?
Oh, Popeyes.
Yeah, it's good choice.
We don't have that in Australia. I wish we do because it's close to perfection.
Follow up, in your restaurant experience working, craziest customer service experience you've ever had?
Well, I've worked in like a lot of restaurants. I've seen some pretty grim stuff happen in services. So it's going to be very hard to like find out. Oh, one was super bad. This guy I don't know. I didn't think it's right for the podcast.
Wait, is it not like family friendly? Like it's obscene?
Yeah, it's pretty grim. It's pretty indented in my head. Like this guy, he injured himself and it was not good.
Oh no.
In terms of restaurant services, it was pretty dark. So I don't think I'm going to get into that one. Look, I've worked in like a lot of places and some interesting stuff that's definitely I've seen. And I like to bring up something, we always talk about like what Top Chef used to be, and it's changed. It's definitely changed. I noticed that. I watched the show. You can see like a timeline. It's changed for good. And I think that if we always talk about back in the day and what happened back 10, 20 years ago, if we look back 20 years ago, the shit that we were doing was bad. It was so bad. Like the things that people were getting away with, like the restaurant industry is always the last sort of industry that actually ends up changing for that better good. Like there's a lot of things that needs to be fixed, like equality in wage and, and just like the kitchen environments and stuff like that. So I think that the Top Chef is going is a very nice direction where it's heading.
That's good. We've been kind of slapped on the wrist by you and Sarah about that take that we had this season.
Oh, 100%. I do listen to it and I go, I get it. I love, I love that old Top Chef as well. I 100%, that's something that's very interesting for me as well.
Was there any conflict this year? It felt like there was very little conflict this year amongst the chefs.
I would say there was close to zero conflict. What you saw is even if they dragged it out, I know that Jay mentioned that she didn't get on with me because of the dinosaur challenge, which is fine. Like not everyone's supposed to get on with each other, but like it's a social experiment as well, where everyone's got different backgrounds and different things to and different ways to work. So, instead of in light of that, no, there's no conflict, and I feel like a lot of the chefs avoid the conflict because at the end of the day, we're people that need these sort of customers and you need to be likable, because I feel like even if you as good as a chef as you are, if you have like a very not a likable background where it's like, oh, that person was just cruel, like why would I go eat there, then you're going to lose business. And essentially this is our profession, and if we can't make money on our profession, then we're not gonna survive. So you really got to think about your personal branding in this industry.
I'm going to just briefly push back against the pushback.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think the show over time has been better produced. It continues to improve the quality of the production. I think the quality of the challenges, everything else. My commentary was more on the dynamic of having chefs kind of look at the camera and just at least convey the sense that the difference between winning and not winning was enormous. I mean, you would think that when Kevin Gillespie, the first time he was on, he's like, I have to win.
Yeah.
Right. It was like this chase, that it was this glory, and that if, God forbid you didn't get to the finale, you would have to go back to an obscure life wherever you came from, which, obviously, but it was it was more the stakes. It's not so much, I don't need a heel or a villain necessarily. I don't need people carping at each other in the kitchen. And I appreciated Sarah's explanation that, look, everyone, this is a industry in crisis, and the idea that you would be waging petty wars in a kitchen during the current moment, is just ridiculous. And I agree with that. My pushback has been, and I don't think, actually, I do think the show's far better than it was back in the day. The one component I do notice is I feel like the stakes, like that people just, they really, you actually were probably the most competitive contestant the contest this year. At least that was my, it's like you wanted to win. And that's all. It's just the sense that, hey, it doesn't mean that you have to, hide the sugar from in the kitchen or turn off their gas.
Yeah, exactly. All the pea puree.
Yeah, like it was more just there are seasons, and I think before the social media exploded, wow, the between winning and not winning was really, really wide, and that's it. I actually think the show's freer today than it was in the first few seasons.
Yeah, I could totally agree. That sort of fire. I think everyone goes in there with the intention of winning. If you don't, then I don't know why you would want to be on there. But yeah, it's just that I could agree. Like that fire could be ignited a little bit more hotter. And but in terms of conflict and stuff like that, I just think that I don't think we're going to see that as much anymore. It's changed. Like, I feel like a lot of the chefs that did provide that conflict would probably look back at it and regret it because now they've got social media and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, then they were all chefs. It's like, it's not like it's a different show like Bachelorette or Bachelor or, Survivor where like, yeah, if you're an asshole on that thing, nobody cares because no one's like, you don't have a business that you represent. Whereas chefs do, they bring that business with them. So that's a profile. But I get where you're coming from with the fire of like, this is that Kevin Gillespie fire.
Buddha, you have added to your Instagram bio that you are the season 19 winner with a rocket emoji and a trophy. How good did that feel? And how do people find your stuff that you're putting out there? Are you going to be doing more videos on Instagram or partaking in a lot of the social media boom among chefs?
Yeah, so there's so many different things that you get to do after winning Top Chef. That like next week I'm going to Aspen, which is going to be absolutely insane. I cannot wait to do that. Something that you keep listening on in the competition or watching the show. It's like, what does that entitle? So I get to see what it's all about. I still cannot believe it, to be honest. I don't feel like I've changed yet, but yeah, it does feel like you do become more of a person that you need to, there's a certain profile that you need to represent after winning the show for sure. And I'm ready to bring it. I'm like, there's a lot of ideas that I still have in my head, and there's a lot of things that I've done that didn't really go recognized in my career. So I can't wait to show hints and tips and how to do things and how to cook. So I'm very open on how like I share things. There's a lot of people that DM me for the Marry Me pasta. I was very it was very easy to just share it because like cooking, so it's something that's how I learned, from the sharing of the knowledge. And we can only get better through our cooking generations if we keep sharing how to cook. And I'm always a person that really wants to make sure that everyone learns how to cook because I think it's so important. You got to eat 3 times a day. So
sometimes 6, 7.
Yeah, sometimes 6 times a day. So you got to learn how to at least cook some of them. I think it's very important.
I really had more time. I didn't even get to talk about my food experience in Yarra Valley with you.
Okay.
Or my amazing week in Melbourne a couple of years ago, right before COVID. But we will do that for a future. Promise us you will come on to be our guest analyst for like next season's Restaurant Wars.
All right, we can do that.
This would be fun.
Yeah, I would love to.
Tom, this was fantastic. And Buddha, thank you for showing up after your red-eye flight home from escaping the paparazzi of Southern California.
That was so funny.
For Tom Haberstra, for Buddha Lowe, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.